Please start going crazy, start cheering, start clapping. Go wild. For my good friend, Qamarul Haziq!
Having fun? Alright, thank you. I hate the fact that Jackie just called me boy. I look like I used to bully him, okay? So shut the fuck up, okay? Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for coming out. This is my first ever comedy special, my first hour, right? It's a good feeling. Yeah, man, it's what led me to do comedy is my parents fucking up, okay? I'll be honest, it is what it is, right? But I think it's because, okay, and people here with kids, could you give a round of applause? Okay, a couple. Okay, good. Okay, so the majority of you don't have kids, all right? So I'm here to share with you guys that, when people have kids, they actually don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, for real, I just found this out because I'm at the age now where, like, my friends and people I know are having children, right? And I'm asking them, how's everything doing? And they're like, I have no clue what I'm doing, I don't know, right? So I have this theory. If you want to raise proper human beings, you need to have more than one child, right? You can have your first one. You have your first child, do whatever you want to that child, experiment, mistake, whatever. Right? Drop lah, whatever lah, okay? Test out different baby formula, like whatever you want to do. Okay? And then you have your second or your third child, and then from the mistakes you learn, you raise them correctly. Right? Now, I am my parents' first child. Right? No, it's fine, which explains lah why I'm on stage. Seeking approval from strangers, I didn't get it back home, so I had to do this, right? Because, like, okay, fun fact, right? My parents messed up, like, the first day they had me, okay? Within, like, minutes of having me, they already messed up, right? Because they named me Qamarul, okay? Which is a perfectly good Malay name, okay? But what they didn't realize is that all names eventually get shortened, okay? Michael becomes Mike, David becomes Dave. Now, Qamarul, kids called me Qam, okay? Now, when you were a child, Qam meant nothing, like it's whatever, you don't care, right? But you do not want a name like Qam when you're in secondary school, right? Because, 13 to 16-year-old boys are going through puberty. At that age, boys are just assholes, okay? I don't know what happened, right? I don't know how it happened, but my nickname in secondary school became Qam Short, okay? Yeah, for real. Like, it's fine, it's whatever, right? I thought it was... But now, I was still, like, a big guy in school, okay? So they didn't, like, bully me to my face or, like, make fun of me right in front of my face. They used to talk shit about me behind my back, okay? What they used to do is, like, they'll be in class, they'll talk shit about me, and then whenever I'm about to enter a room, they'll just look at each other and go, bro, shh. You know how fucked up it was when I found out, right? Because that's my Batman signal now, okay? Fuck it. You do that, I arrive in like 3 minutes or less, right? Like most men in this room, okay? Okay, when you're at that age, I don't know what goes on in like teenage boys' minds, but the more disgusting your nickname is, like the cooler you are, right? So I thought I was cool as shit because I had Qam Short as name. I had a friend, Hairi, his nickname was Hyman, okay? It doesn't have to make sense, it just has to be disgusting, okay? So with a name like Qam Short, I thought I was like the coolest guy. I had like a big ego, right? I used to play football a lot in secondary school, right? And I had a big ego about me because I always wanted the ball, I always wanted to do the things, I wanted to shoot, I wanted to score, I was just an asshole, right? So one day, they just pulled me aside and like, bro, you know why we call you Qam Short, not? Because when you shoot the ball, right, it goes everywhere. So stop asking for the ball, right? I'm sorry, by the way, when I did this, I made eye contact with you. Like, it is what it is, okay? You and I shared a moment, okay? Right? But stand-up comedy is so weird. Like, you all paid money, and I just came on stage and I just did this. And then, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird art form. But that's what we like to do. We like to, like, make jokes and, like, make you guys laugh. That's what we want to do. But for some reason, in the last couple of months, like, comedians have been, like, kind of attacked a bit for, like, what we say, And I don't think it's fair because, like, we want to do jokes to make you laugh, and people think that we're assholes because of the things we say. And we're not, okay? Because when we say it on stage, it's to make you laugh. But I want you all to know also that outside, we say the same things. okay? But that's for our own amusement, right? But if you see us do that outside and you think we're assholes, I fully accept it, okay? Because I had to learn it the hard way. I thought that as a comedian, I had to be 100% comedian my entire life. I had to act like a comedian every day, every moment of my life. And that doesn't make sense because I spend maybe 10% of my life on stage. The other 90%, I have to be around normal people, lah, right? I have to be around you. And if I act like a comedian around you outside, I'm just a dick, right? So I had to learn the hard way during last year Hari Raya, okay? Last year Hari Raya, the family had like a, before that, they kind of like only allowed 5 people a day to come to your house, right? But everyone here, I know every one of you broke the law, right? You know the trick, right? You put 5 pairs of shoes outside, and then everyone else's shoes is inside, right? And then everyone just did that. So that's what my family did. But then last year, everyone was finally able to be in one house. Me and the family went all out, okay? 60 people in one 4-room flat, right? Just hanging out with the germs and everything, you know? Like, just, because we finally could do it. So we decided to do it. Everyone was there. It was a nice, like, family moment until my cousin shows up. My cousin shows up that we have not seen or heard from in like 3 years. Okay, throughout the whole pandemic, we didn't hear a word from him. He shows up and now he has cancer. Okay, he didn't tell anyone. He just shows up all like cancered out, you know? Cancery, is that better? Like, he just shows up just like, you know, he's just... It is what it is. He shows up, he sits in the middle of the living room, right? Everyone's just not paying attention. Everyone's looking at him. There's so much awkwardness. There's so much tension, just like this room right now, right? No one knows what to do. No one knows what to say. I stand in the corner looking at all this tension, and I'm like, fuck it. I am a stand-up comedian, right? There is tension in this room. It is my job to break it, right? I have to lighten the mood a bit, right? So I went up to my cousin, Zaki. I said, hey, Zaki, sorry about what happened to you, clearly, it's fucked up. Like, I'm sorry this happened, but come let's go smoke. Right? My auntie, whose house that we were at, scolds me. Like, Qamarul, Haziq, you cannot say this. This is very inappropriate. How dare you say such a thing? And I'm like, auntie, relax. What's the worst thing that can happen? He gets cancer again? Fuck off. The only person angrier than my auntie that day was my mother, right? Because she just saw her son being an absolute moron in front of a room of family, right? Just being a dick. Because my mom doesn't understand what I do, doesn't understand stand-up comedy. She's very like, old school, traditional Malay, Muslim mother. You three look like her a bit. It's okay, I'm joking. A bit lah, but nah. Wait, just say, you all know my mother or not? No, right? Okay. So my mother is a very traditional, like Malay Muslim mother. Like, all she wants from me is that I go to heaven, right? Like, it doesn't matter what I do my entire life, as long as that when I die, I end up in heaven, right? Listen, I don't know how she's going to check, right? But she's adamant about me being in heaven, right? And at this point in my life, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know if I want to go to heaven. Right? Not because I don't believe in heaven. I just don't want to die, go to heaven, and then see my mother again. Okay? Because one lifetime of love is enough. But an eternity of what time you're coming home, like when you're gonna pray. I'm like, Ma, I'm in heaven. I still have to pray. Like, how say I have to pray in heaven? Like, where is Mecca? Down, is it? Like, how? I'm not kidding with you guys when I say that my mother is like adamant about me going to heaven. Because like she goes to crazy lengths to make sure I go to heaven, right? Because like the worst time for me during the year is Ramadan, okay? Because it's the fasting month. And I swear, right, nothing is harder than not fasting in a house where everyone else is fasting. I think it's actually harder than just fasting. Right? Because of the secrets you have to keep, the steps you have to take, it's stressful, right? So one of these days where I wasn't fasting, but I was at home, I didn't have anything to do. So I was just stuck at home chilling, and then there was no food at home, and I was like hungry, right? There was no food. So I went to the pastry shop in front, right? Now, I went to the patient in front, because during Ramadan, they'll set out, tables at the front for you to buy your little quiz, your ipo-ipo, all that, right? So I went and I bought 2 full bags, right? I bought 2 full bags because I had to pretend like I'm buying it for my family, right? Just in case this lady knows my mother, right? Just in case. So I bought 2 full bags, I brought it home, I put on the table, I took 2 pieces out, I went to my room, I locked the door and I ate it, right? The moment I finished eating the second piece, I just hear, tuk, 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 tuk. Qamarul, Haziq, you open this door now. Right? I'm like, how does she get... Like, she got direct line to God or like, like it's that super quick. The moment I finish, right, I open the door. Oh wait, no, I didn't open the door. I wiped the crumb first. And then I opened the door. She came in. So this is what my mother did, right? Apparently, she knew the lady working in front, which is fine, because I brought 2 full bags, right? I covered my tracks, right? But what I didn't realize what my mom did was, she told this lady that if any of my sons buy anything from your store, please send me a piece-by-piece receipt of what they buy. Right? So my mom scolds me. Where are these 2 missing pieces? Right? There are 2 pieces that are missing from this bag. Where are they? And I'm there like desperate. I'm like, Allah help. Like, I was just clinging to anything I could, right? Right? I don't know how it happened, but like something came to me, right? And I just look at my mom straight in the face. And I'm like, Ma, this is Ramadan, right? This is the holy month. I was walking home and I was walking home and I saw a beggar on the streets, right? So I gave him the 2 pieces and I came home. I'm going to hell, okay? I just realized, like, last year, I don't know if you guys remember last year during Ramadan, or maybe 2 years ago, Tinder had like a promotion during Ramadan. It was, I remember because I screenshot it. It's Tinder Vibes Ramadan Edition. You can Google this. It's somewhere on, I swear it's there. It's called Tinder Vibes Ramadan Edition. They put out a promotion during Ramadan for Tinder. I don't know if Tinder knows what Ramadan is. Like, that's not a time when we're like, scouring for women or whatever. You know what I mean? We're not doing that. It's like it's a month of purity. You're supposed to like keep yourself clean, all that. It's supposed to be chill. And Tinder put out this promotion, right? So Tinder Vibes is when you match based on common interests, okay? So if you go Tinder Vibes and you go to music and then you match with someone, you both are into the same kind of music, right? But that means if you match with someone on Tinder Vibes Ramadan Edition, the only similarity you have is that you both are doing Ramadan, right? Which has to be the most boring conversation, right? Like, what do you talk about? You hungry? I'm so hungry. Like oddly specific dinner timings. Like, you want to go eat, no? Yeah, at 7 or 8 p.m., Like, hey, let's go watch a movie. I'll buy 3 tickets. Me, you, and the halal gap. In the middle, And also, you can't do the fun things that I like to do on Tinder, which is like say something wildly inappropriate. And then the girl unmatches you immediately, right? You cannot do that because it's Ramadan. You're supposed to, keep it clean. Because honestly, there is no such thing as halal dirty talk, right? There is no such thing. I tried thinking about it, and it's hard. Like, even I found it hard to find any halal dirty talk line. But I found one that I wrote, which I'm gonna test on you guys, and you guys can tell me whether it's halal enough or not, right? So the line is, you match with a girl, and then you talk to her like, hey girl, I want to see you face down, ass up. Because I want to watch you pray, The only... Is that halal enough? Okay, right? If you guys match with any Muslim girls, feel free to use that, okay? I don't know if it's gonna work, but sure, During the pandemic period, like when the Ramadan Tinder thing was on, there was also another thing that kind of really bothered me. For like a couple of days, this news was kind of big where a gym guy, this Chinese guy, took video of Malay food, and then he kept saying like how unhealthy it is, right? He took a video, right? You remember? He took a video of it, how unhealthy it is. He bought a dish called like ayam masak merah. Then he like scraped it and like, look at all the oil in the food. Look at how unhealthy this is. I watched that video, I'm like, bro, you're a gym guy. What are you doing, like buying Malay food? The last thing Malay people thought about was the health of anything. Like we just wanted no flavor, like all that shit. We all want that in one dish. Because like the main ingredient in Malay food, if you all don't know, is heartburn. Okay? Right? Like it's so good. It tastes better the second time, honestly. Like when you... It's not bad. Right? So this guy, I feel like it's a bit unfair, especially to the auntie lah, right? The auntie that learn how to cook that thing. Because it's not just like a bunch of ingredients. You know? This makcik put in her heart and soul, right? Because when a makcik learns how to cook, it's not just a bunch of ingredients and technique, you know? It's ingredients, technique, and trauma. Okay? It's years and years of the mother saying, you don't know how to cook, huh? You don't know how to cook, how you gonna find husband? You know, like, just tears and rempah, everything into one, right? And this fucking guy just went like, don't want. That's unfair. Like the journey this chicken took was a wonderful journey. You know? It was raw chicken, mixed with the makcik, mixed with the effort, mixed with the technique, becomes a dish. I fucked up, I don't know, right? You understood what I said. Right? So like this chicken went on a whole journey, and this guy is a gym guy, right? You know, he works out. Like what does a gym guy do? Okay, he goes to a gym, he picks up a weight, and then he puts it back where he found it. Right? Zero journey has been made. And this guy has the cheek to say like how unhealthy this food is. Like it's not fair, you know? And that's why we charge Chinese people more for nasi padang, okay? But I do enjoy certain, like, you know, when this kind of news topics comes up, like nothing like that. I like it a little bit, even though it may come off a bit racist, stuff like that. I like it because it shows the amount of, like, freedom we kind of have, right? Like, I'm just going to ask you guys a generic question. You guys can yell or not. Like, do you think that we have freedom in Singapore? No. I understand why you say no freedom, but I kind of disagree a bit. There is freedom, but it's limited, right? Okay, the only way I can describe it is like, if freedom was an app, right, in Singapore, it would be Freedom Light. You know? Like, you have freedom, but to unlock full freedom, please insert your credit card details lah, you know? Like, you gotta pay for full freedom, right? That's what Singapore is. Because, okay, we do have a bit of freedom because we have, like, national service. National service is, like, a weird thing for me. Because I entered NS late. Okay, I was in the army, by the way, and I entered the army late at the age of 24 years old. Right? You're supposed to enter army at, like, 18. I entered at 24, which is, like, a really weird age to enter the army because you enter as a full-grown man already. Right? And as a Malay man, like, I entered the army, I got yelled at by like 19-year-old Chinese boys. Right? And then I had to pretend to be scared, you know? No, because I think we can all agree that Chinese boys are just the most non-scary entity the world has ever known. Right? Like, sure, I respect you, but like, I'm not afraid, you know? Like, because you're just a kid. Like, I had to enter at 24, and then they asked me, like, hey, knock it down. And like, I'm doing push-ups, and they leave, and I'm like, fuck it. Like, you know, like, bodo. Like, it's just fucking annoying, right, the kids? And because, okay, because that bothered me. Because when I think of how Singapore is now, like, Chinese people are at the top, right? Like, the leaders, stuff like that. And I know I'm not even complaining, right? Things are going well, right? Like, congrats. Okay? But I also kind of bothered at how they end up there. Because I remember when I was a kid, right? When I was a kid, like, the Chinese boys were the ones getting bullied, right? The Malays and the Indians would come to the playground. I used to, like, go to the playground, take the Chinese boy book, and just throw away. Like, you know, like, there's, like, fun shit like that, you know, like when we were growing up. But when I think of that small child, and then at the end, he ends up being a leader, like, where did the confidence come from, right? Because I thought I stripped the confidence of it. But they still have it, you know? What I figured out is that it all actually comes from, like, national service. Like, that's where, like, Chinese boys get their confidence. And I'm happy for you. Because you found it in the army. You found it in, you know, wherever you went. Right? Because, like, when you report to army on the first day, you can see already, like, the changes in confidence. Right? Because if you line up all the recruits, right? The Chinese recruit, the Malay recruit, the Indian recruit, you just line them up. You ask the Chinese recruit what he wants to be in the army, he'll be like, I want to be a sergeant. I want to be an officer, right? You ask the Malay guy, you ask the Indian guy, they're like, Driver also can. Just the disparity in confidence is like wild. Because, okay, so I was a driver. Totally no relation. You know what's weird? Like, when I technically, right, I was a full-time soldier for 2 years. Right, technically, I could like write in my CV that 2 years I was a soldier, you know? And a lot of you guys can say that, and that's why when I perform stand-up comedy and there are people from around the world and they see that, you know, people, like, they don't have to be afraid of anything from the Singapore Army, right? Because like we are in the army. Like, okay, I can't speak for you guys, but I was in the army and I am not built for combat. Okay? Like, there's nothing scary about this, right? Like, okay, I can call myself a veteran, you know what I mean? Like, technically right? Like, I am a veteran. I served the full tour of Pulau Tekong, okay? I fought for your freedom. I didn't okay? I slept for your freedom. Best 2-year nap of my life. It boggles my mind that I get to say I'm a full-time soldier purely because of the fact that I wore a double XL uniform. Okay? Like, you know how weird that no army in the world other than Singapore has a soldier in a double XL uniform. Like any other army in the world, a double XL uniform is a tent. Okay? So sometimes when I was in the army, I did come out and perform stand-up for free, right? I would meet people around the world and I'll tell them that I'm in the army, you know? And they'll be like, oh shit, a soldier, you know? Like, 'cause, I mean, they're impressed by that a bit, right? And I tell them I'm in the army. A lot of like people from around the world will ask me, why does Singapore have an army? Because they don't, if you're not from here, you don't really hear about the Singapore army. We're not into any conflicts, we're very chill. We're stand one corner, you've got, you know, earthquake, oh, there we go. You know, like, we don't really, you know, tsunami, you know, like, we never, like, if it's wartime, we're not there, right? And they ask me why Singapore has an army, and I don't know, right? And I was in it, right, for 2 years, and I couldn't give him an answer, right? So I went back to camp, and I could only ask the one person that would know the answer, the 19-year-old Chinese boy, right? Like, I went back to camp and like, boy, no, I didn't. I went back to camp and I'm like, sir, I have a question for you. Like, why does Singapore have an army, right? So this is the official Singapore Armed Forces answer to why Singapore has an army, okay? Singapore has an army because we are a deterrent force. We don't attack, we defend. We are the guard dog guarding the house, right? That's what my sir told me. And I'm like, okay, deterrent force, guard dog, okay, whatever. I put up my hand, like, sir, I caught bullshit immediately, right? Because I'm an asshole, like that, right? Like, sir, if we are a deterrent force, right, then we are not the guard dog. At most, we are the beware of dog sign. Right? Anyway, thanks for laughing, because that joke cost me 20 push-ups. Okay? That shit was hard, okay? Some of the like freedoms that because we are national service, some of the freedoms we are for, like recently when like they legalized, you know, they repealed 3778, right? Like, so finally gay people can do whatever they want to do. Okay, cool. Like, listen, I don't care, like, you do whatever you want to do. Like, they repealed that shit, and then it was kind of cool. Because I grew up, okay, I'm just going to tell you guys, like, my first ever, like, gay experience, okay? You guys want to hear about it? My first ever gay experience, okay? Don't hold back, like, this is, okay, sorry, it's fine. Right? So when I was younger, I wasn't really exposed to like gay culture, gay guys, all that. I was in a very strict Muslim household. In school, I was in football, so I was hanging out with like sports guys, jocks. So we made a lot of like gay jokes, very insensitive things, right? But to us, it was funny lah, right? So when I finally started doing comedy, right, I've met my first gay, right? You have to describe, like, it was my first one lah, right? So I met him, he was a stand-up comedian named Sam C, right? And I told him, yeah, you guys know Sam C, right? So I was hanging out, it's my show. And so So when I met him, and I told him about like my upbringing, stuff like that, and how he was the first one I've ever met, he's like, you know what? It's time to like open up your horizon a bit. So he invites me out to go to a gay bar, right? And I'm there like, a bit scared, a bit don't know, you know. You know, I was raised in that kind of house. Okay lah, but whatever lah, let's just go. Right, just to, you know, expand my horizons a bit. So I went. Well, me and him and a bunch of friends, we all went to a gay bar, while hanging out, having fun. But I was a bit like scared lah, you know, because of all the things that, you know. And I kept ordering this certain drink called like Jack and Coke, like Jack Daniels and Coke. Because when I watch TV and all this media stuff like that, the darker your drink is, the less gay it is. Right? I don't know how, but somehow that entered my head. So I kept ordering this drink. Right? And they could see that I was a bit miserable. Right? But I couldn't tell Sam why I was miserable. I was miserable because no one hit on me. like when the stories you hear growing up, like these guys are going to try to sleep with you, no. Right? I went to the urinal, no one checked it out, you know. Like, no one sent me a drink, so I was a bit like upset, a bit like, so I sat at the table just ordering Jack and Coke the entire night. Then Sam came up to me and Sam's like, hey, what's wrong, dude? Like, this is a judgment-free zone. Order whatever you want, be whatever you want. Like, no one's gonna judge you. I'm like, oh, but I don't know what to order. Sam like, let me order you a drink. What do you want that you've never had before? And I told Sam, you know what? Surprise me, right? I don't know what, so just surprise me. Then the drink came, and it was like a bright neon green drink. Right? Something I would never order. There's this bright neon green drink appeared on the table, and I took a sip of that drink, and I had my first ever gay experience. Because I took a sip of that drink, and I just went, oh, tastes like summer. You know, like... Yo, when I uttered those words, fear just came. I left, I went home, I prayed. I had no reason to think that they would hit on me, right? But it's because I have like this confidence that I shouldn't have, right? Because friends kept lying to me. And this is advice for every one of you. If you have like a fat friend, you have like an ugly friend, you have like a whatever. No, I say if you have ugly, not you are the... Yeah. Like if you have anything, don't lie to them. That does them a disservice, right? Like my friends used to lie to me all the time. Like, bro, you're not fat lah. You're big bone. Like, which is worse, you know. Like, just call me fat, it's okay, right? Big bone makes me think the whole thing, and then I still hear the word big, and then like, you know? Don't lie to your friend, because if you lie to them and you tell them like these fallacies, right? They'll go out into the world with confidence they shouldn't have, right? They need to go and be realistic, right? So my friends used to call me, big bone. Bro, you're not stupid, bro. You're just not book smart. It's like, oh, okay, we're in Singapore, that helps, you know? The worst one is, bro, you're not ugly. You're just not conventionally attractive. Which is really fucked up if you think about it. Right? Because, right, that means, technically, if there were to have a convention, right, let's say at Singapore Expo, right, Attracticon or whatever, right, they have it. If I had a booth, that booth would be empty. Right? Right beside the housing agent. Because when my friends lied to me, I went out to the world with this like confidence that, and I remember I was sat on the bus, right? And this beautiful girl came onto the bus, sat on the seat in front of me, right? She was using a phone. Now, I am the asshole on the bus that looks at your phone when you're using it, right? So I was just looking at this girl's phone, and then she was using apps, and then she opens up Tinder, right? And then I just wanted to see what kind of guy she likes, right? She swiped right here, swiped left there. And then my picture pops up, right? Listen, like there's no like mystery to it. She swiped left, okay? Everyone knows this. She swipes left. And I wasn't bothered by the fact she swiped left. I was bothered by the speed in which she swiped left, right? Because there couldn't be enough time for her to actually see the picture, right? Like I swear she swiped left at the idea of me, right? Because, okay, I have been fat my entire life. Right, which is fair. Like, it's not that I didn't want to work out. Like, I was fine. Like, I was busy, stuff like that. But then, these are the lies I tell myself, okay? No, because I always thought I was busy. And then the pandemic happened, right? The pandemic was the worst thing to happen for me because it threw away all the excuses, right? Before the pandemic, I could have been like, oh, I got work, I got this, I got school, no time, right? Then the whole world shut down. There was nothing else to do. And then when it opened up, I was still fat, right? So I just had to sit there and realize the fact that, oh, the problem's me, actually. Like, I just didn't want to work out. It wasn't like, busy or whatever, that all the bullshit went away, right? Because during the pandemic, I figured out something harrowing, okay? My weight. I had the exact same weight as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. How fucked up that is that. Look at The Rock. Look at me. Right? Like what? Like how could those two things be like similar, Like The Rock, he's amazing, man. He looks like he's chiseled out of marble. I look like I'm made of Play-Doh, like, no, he does the rock bottom, I'm at rock bottom, What I'm trying to say is that I look like I ate what The Rock was cooking, okay? I turned 30 this year, which is a weird age to be. Man, thanks, I guess. But it's a weird age because now this year, my younger brother is getting married, right? He's a year younger than me. He's getting married end of the year, and I'm really happy for him. Really excited for him. But I don't know why. It's his wedding, but the pressure is on me now because I'm the one because my mom now is all excited, wedding fever. She spends so much money for his wedding, stuff like that. I'm like, save some. For me, like not for my wedding, just that when you have something to pass to me, Because, okay, my mom obviously wants me to get married, which is fine. A lot of mothers would want that, you want to get married, lead your own, family, stuff like that, and it's okay. But I don't think she realizes, I don't think she really realized how far away from marriage I actually am, right? Not because I don't want to be married, but dating is hard because of the face she has given me. Right? I mean, it's my mom, I can say, okay? No, my mom is beautiful, but inside, okay? Hey, y'all don't know my mother, okay? That's why I had to check just now. Right? Because I've had this face. This face makes sense now, because I'm 30. This makes sense. But I've had this face since I was 16 years old. Okay? I've had chronic old face for a long time. Right? Because I remember when I was 22 years old, me and the family, we went for a Father's Day dinner. Okay? Me, my mom, my dad, and my two younger brothers. Right? We went for a nice Father's Day dinner. The brothers paid for the meal, right? It was a nice, nice family night. Right? The waiter came back with the card and happy Father's Day gifts. Right? I say gifts because he brought back two. Okay? It was happy Father's Day mugs. Right? He passed one to my dad and then he passed one to me. Okay? Now, I'm sat there thinking, what does this waiter think is going on in my family? Right? Because the best case scenario is he thinks I look old enough to be the father to my younger brothers, right? Or that my mom has two husbands. I'm like, no, Islam is the other way. And also my mom pulling two guys, no lah. So now I'm stuck. I'm stuck at home with a world's #1 dad mug. 0 kids, right? So I'm it's not that hard to be a dad. I didn't even do anything, I'm #1 already. Now I'm just sat thinking, now we have 2 mugs at home. I don't know if what these waiter things we're doing at home, I'm sat in the balcony with my dad, chilling, having a cup of tea, both of us having the world's #1 dad mug, ding. We have a good wife, no Because, okay, I talk about, me, finding it hard to date, stuff like that, because I had a bad track record when it comes to the women I've gone out with. Okay, I'll be honest, I've had, really bad track record because I've dated, some very stupid women. Not because they're women. They were stupid first. And then the woman part came in, right? The first girl I ever went out with, properly, actually went out with, was when I was in JC, right? I finally had a girl, I'm texting her every day, stuff like that. During that period, it was the World Cup, okay? It was the World Cup, and Ghana was playing Italy, right? And if you know anything about football, Ghana is always the underdog, right? They were always like, especially against Italy. But in that game, Ghana scored, right? And I was surprised, so I texted her. I'm like, oh my God, babe, Ghana just scored against Italy, right? And then she replies, Ghana play for which country? Right? And I'm there like, how do you get into JC? Like, that's the kind of girl I did. And fun fact, by the way, she is now a writer for the Straits Times. So if you take anything away from that joke is believe in your dreams, because this bitch made it, dude. Like you could do it too, okay? Don't sell yourself short, right? Well, I talk a lot about my family. I don't want you to think that I hate my family or anything, But just to end the night, I'll tell you guys a story that I have good memories of, like me growing up. Because when I make jokes, I don't want you to think that I hate the people I make jokes about. If the more I make jokes about you, actually the more I love you. Because I keep thinking about you and I make jokes about you, right? That's why my mom features a lot my set, and my dad doesn't. See, that was technically, if he saw that joke, it would be like, "Cause I love you, that's why I did the joke." Okay. So there were moments where I was happy growing up, like with my family, and it's been great, right? One of my favorite memories ever, like growing up with my family, was every time we would go to Johor, right? So this last story I share with you guys. Like we would go up to Johor, and it was my favorite memory because every time we go up, it would be for grocery runs, right? The family would drive up there to buy groceries, and it would be a fun time, especially for me, because I bought pirated video games, right? And as a kid, that was everything. Because I had all the consoles. I had Nintendo, I had PlayStation, I had all that. So when we go up, it would mean one thing, pirated video games. So we would drive up to Johor. So the journey would go up like this, right? We would drive up, the family will all just drive, and then we will reach like this really dingy Johor malls. Like a bit run down, but still works, Like it feels like Singapore, but not really. Because like everything's okay, but then one tile is like sengit, There's 2 floors, but the second floor is never open, Like it's that kind of mall, right? So when you walk into these malls, there'll be like little stands for you to buy your snacks, right? There'll be like kaya ball, right? There'll be waffle. My favorite was the corn in a cup, right? That was my favorite. Because when you buy that, there was always more butter than actual corn, right? So when you finish all the corn, the butter would have melted, and there'll be this leftover white drink, which is my favorite drink of all time, right? Because it's very semen-y in texture, right? But it tastes sweet, so it's complete opposite, right? And that was my favorite thing. What? How would I don't know the taste. I'm assuming from what I've been told, right? From what I've been told by ex-partners, that's how it would taste like. Right? So I would immediately, my mom would give me 20 ringgit, right? 10 ringgit for video games, 10 ringgit for snacks. So when I reach there, I'll buy my snacks and I'll go immediately for the video game store, right? Now, this is still a licensed video game store, right? So you had all the actual game on display, right? So you had to walk up to the guy like it's a drug deal, right? You go up, say, bang, copy game ada tak? Copy, right? This is called copy game, right? And then he will take out the booklet from underneath, he'll put it on the table, you open it, all the video games you want. Everything on display, all the cover art. Now, I was a very visual kid. So when I saw all the cover art, I was like, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. But then, when he brings out the video game, sometimes it doesn't have cover art. And I'll be annoyed because both sides of the CD-ROM is shiny, right? And to me, if both sides are shiny, which side do I put into the PlayStation lah, right? So I told the guy, bang, can you please write down on the side that I cannot put it in, right? The video game name, right? But you also have to realize that this guy is also Malaysian. So sometimes he fucks it up. Sometimes. Right? One time I brought home Super Maria. I don't know if you guys ever played. I was shocked when I saw that. I'm like, yo, female plumber, dude. Malaysia's super progressive, right? Super Mario is very fun actually. You turn it on and then game over, My dad, and the exact same mall, my dad will be at the pirated movies. That was his thing. He would want to buy pirated movies. Right? I don't know why, but he had a collection that he'll bring out for Hari Raya, and then he'll play all the collection. Because there was no Netflix back in the day, so that was our Netflix, right? The pirated movies. So my dad would just buy, that was his thing. Now, my mom would just be walking around buying groceries, you know, because she's a housewife, she wants to stock up the grocery, the pantry, stuff like that. And, you know, what a wonderful thing, right? Trying to, you know, make sure the family eats at home. But you also have to realize, when I was a kid, Singapore made it illegal for you to buy certain Malaysian meat. You cannot bring it back, right? So in that mall, I was buying pirated video games. My dad was buying pirated movies. My mom was buying pirated meat, you know. Right? At that point, we were not a family. Right? We were a criminal organization. That's all. Right? Like my dad's name is Saleh, right? So he'll be Saleh Kau and ow. And I'm gonna cut that out of the video. I will describe to you my dad a bit. My dad is very like stoic, macho, like typical Malay dad, you know? Like never show emotion, like very, you know, very macho man. And I've only seen him scared a handful of times. And all those times was at Woodlands checkpoint. Right? Because he'll be driving back and he'll be like, oh, fun. And then the moment we stuck in that jam leading to the checkpoint, he'll just be quiet. Right? And my job, whenever we reach the checkpoint, is to look at which lane had the youngest looking Malay officer. Right? Because young Malay men cannot scold older Malay men. Right? So my job was to see which lane had the youngest one. So I looked and I told my dad, like, lane 3. And then he'll drive, he'll go to lane 3. This one time we got caught. We got caught one time. Because for some reason, this guy decided to do his job, you know? Like, why did we get that one? You know, like fucking annoying. Right? So he found everything. You know, he found everything. He opened the secret compartment. He found the games. He found the movies. He found the meat. You know? He found the puddle of water. Because the meat was thawing as we were driving back. Right? And he looks at it and he starts talking to my dad like, sir, you know you cannot bring this into Singapore. You know you cannot bring this to Singapore. Why would you try such a thing? You know you cannot bring this in. Right? And I see how my dad got away with it. Like, how is he going to get out of this? You know? My dad looks at the guy, this young Malay officer, and just went, alamak, I forgot. Dude, my dad then went back into the car and drives off. Right? I'm there. I look back at the officer and he just yells back, next time, don't forget. What the fuck, Eddie? Anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. This is my first. Thank you, guys.